Hello people, and welcome back to the return of the Modular Build series. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And thank you so much for all support on this series. You guys really missed it. A lot of comments asking for this series to come back, and here it is. Everyone, please welcome back Modular Builds to the channel. We'll try and get these out once a week. Of course, if time allows, we can do more, and if time doesn't allow, we will do less than that. But every weekend, we'll aim to do a modular build. For those that are new to the channel, because I understand we have grown quite a bit since this series last aired, these serve as templates and inspiration of individual builds that you can place within your city. And we're going to keep them kind of fairly small, quite niche this time round. We were kind of building international space centres towards the end of the first series, or the first season, I guess you could call it that. I guess this would be Modular Build Season 2, right? But take for example this right here, a little courthouse plaza that has some slightly legal, almost government vibes to it. And go ahead and check out the playlist, which will be linked down below if you haven't already. There's some nice inspiration here. For your own vanilla cities, you do not need mods to build any of these. I will be using mods for pure sake of saving time. However, you can replicate these on console. All you need is the required DLCs, which are shown at the start of each episode. So without further ado, let's get started, shall we? We're going to be working on a nice little tram interchange today. Okay, so to start this particular modular build, you are going to need the Snowfall DLC, because we are going to be playing with trams today. And from anywhere within your city, this can be the start of a new tram network, or you can hook it into an already existing one. We are going to come out by a distance of 40 tiles, which is a cost of 4,000 using our 4-lane Tram Road. Fantastic. Then we'll come into our small roads, and you can use any of these small roads right here. I'm going to go for something maybe with grass, just so it's a little bit fancier. So once we have our main arterial road in, we're going to come to this first marker of 10, which is indicated by this little blue circle. We're going to drag out from this, and then we're going to come down by a distance of 20 tiles, which is 1,000. Then we're going to come across by 400, and then we're going to draw back up to the arterial. And within this space, I'm going to place the unique building, the theatre. This will fit in fairly nicely here. It's a wonderful looking asset. Really nice. This is in your landmarks. I believe you do need the European theme activated to get this one, but it doesn't have to be the theatre. You can use any unique building here that you like. So now against our arterial road, we're going to start working with a little bit of repeated plaza spice. It's up to you which plaza you want to go for. You can come from one from these tabs. Use something from these if you like, but for my personal preference, I'm going to run with a zoo plaza from the Parklife DLC. However, any plaza of your choosing will also work as well. I'm going to place one in here. I'm going to leave also a distance of 2 tiles between the smaller road where we place the theatre and where we actually place the plaza in itself. Then we're going to grab a tram track out by a distance of 585, leaving a distance of 1 tile between the plaza and the path. And then likewise, we'll repeat that pattern again with the plaza on this side also. Okay, fantastic. And now we're going to begin to form kind of our tram interchange, right? So we're going to come up with a distance of 390 this way. So then we'll bring this tram line down by a distance of 910. And what we're looking for here is again a distance of 1 tile between the tram road and where the road actually is. So you've got a nice little 1 tile border around there. That's what we're looking for. And then you can then use this as an excuse to feed into an existing tram network. I just happen to have one right here, but of course everyone's city will be different, so feel free to factor this into your city. However you see fit. Obviously everyone's will differ slightly. Then we'll come out this side again as well by a distance of 390. And we'll bring it down to make a nice little box like this. So kind of your final measurements for this box are 780 across and 910 up and down. So once we have our box in, depending on how large you want this interchange to be, you can draw in more lines or less lines than this. We're now going to switch over to our one-way tram track. And then we're going to start feeding in some little one-way systems for our tram to move around in. So at this point, it's really kind of up to you how you want this to appear. You can do more or less of them, depending on how many kind of stops and stations you want within the interchange itself. Really, it's kind of up to you. I think I'll run with 3, but you know, you can do 2 if you like. It really just kind of depends on how kind of impressive you want this thing to look, right? So I think I'm going to run with 2 right there. So kind of the smaller section is slightly smaller, and the outer 2 areas are a little bit wider. Fantastic. Okay. So that's going to give us a nice little tram loop. So we'll now work on introducing the elevated pedestrian walkway using angle, grid, and road length snapping. And then we're going to come out by a distance of 184, 182. And then the same again on this side also. So just 3 small elevation steps. You can use any path that you want for these. It really kind of depends on kind of your own personal preference. I'm using the liberal arts path because and this is the university path. It has this nice like copper finish to it. I think it's quite a nice one. I'm going to hook them together like that. So it's all very symmetrical at the entrance of the interchange right here. Okay. And then we're going to bring this over into this next grid by cost of 124. And then we're going to bring it down back to the ground by distance of 162. So you just start to see how this skywalk will link into all the different platforms. And it's a really nice kind of aesthetic touch to the interchange as well. Then we're going to bring this to the opposite side now. So again, retaining that symmetry. And then we'll bring it all the way along here. And then from this piece on the right hand side that we've just drawn in, we are now going to come across and into the middle of the interchange. And down by a distance of 142. Okay. And then we're going to repeat that the same side here as well. And then finally, on this side. So you can kind of see now how that's going to start to form around. We're getting lots of, it's a nice addition of layer of height as well, I think, which is always something that we champion on the channel. Layers of height are important, I think. So this is roughly what we're looking at right now. Okay. Then we'll come back to our main arterial road using our 4-lane tram road, and we're going to draw out by another 20 tiles. Again, everyone's city will be different. You might have some space to move up in this direction or this direction. Just, you know, this is an opportunity to start a new tram line into a new part of the city. Then we'll come back and grab our pathways again, and we're going to come up to 1 tile deep on the edge of the road here. And then we're going to come across by a distance of 144. We're then going to come in and grab our 2-lane road with tram tracks. And then we're going to draw this parallel up against the tram interchange. Down to where this final pathway road marker is. Again, retaining the distance of 1 tile between the path and the road. So you're going to start to see how this is kind of building up now into a little bit of a grandiose interchange, isn't it? By the way, I have forgotten to mention a huge shout out to Mod Rach for the inspiration behind this build. She did a fantastic job of putting this together. If you're not in the Discord, do come ahead and check it out. There is endless inspiration like this available to you. And it's a really nice design that she's kind of put together here. We're very inspired by it today. We're now going to introduce another unique building. I am going to use the Winter Market here. Again, you can use kind of whichever unique building you want, but the Winter Market is always a favourite on the channel thing, isn't it? It's not particularly one of mine, but I think it just works better in a snow map, doesn't it? I think it just works better in a snow map, but whichever one you want here, just place it in. And then what we're going to do is grab our 2-lane road with trees, or any kind of small road, it's up to you really. And then we're going to draw in a road right here, again down to the road guideline of the tram road. And you'll notice that I've left a 1 tile gap, which is fine, so we can now flip our Winter Market around onto this side. Okay, come back into our pathways, and then we can now begin to finish off our elevated pedestrian walkway. So bring it down here by a distance of 142 again. And then we can trim this one off a little. And then bring it down by a distance of 142. And the reason we're leaving kind of these empty tiles between the road is of course for detailing. We can get lots of nice fencing and trees and park life props in here. Just to help flesh out these these streets a little more. Some green city zoning would work really nicely in here too. We'll have a couple of little plays towards the detailing time-lapse, of course. And then right up alongside my winter market here, or whatever unique building you decide to go with, I'm also going to introduce the actual tram depot itself, leaving a tile between the winter market and where we're going to place it in. Now, the orientation of this asset is really important. For example, this side right here is a lot less interesting than this side. So really factor that into your cities, you know. How do the assets sit? Does it add to the build? Does it take away from it? So we're going to have our tram depot right up next to the tram interchange, which again I think is a nice little touch. Fantastic. Then we can then come through with our pathways again, and we have left that one tile gap. And we can then use this to decorate out. And it will also serve as a little bit of an entranceway for people to move from side to side, of course. So they will actually remain functional as opposed to just being there for aesthetics. So for right now, this is kind of what we're looking at, right? We have a lot of stuff going on this side. Of course, we've got lots of empty spaces that need to be filled out. But we will get there, I promise. Okay, so we'll now return to kind of the opposite side of this arterial road where we're going to continue to use our unique buildings. Again, please be inspired. Find a unique building you haven't used before. Maybe get out of your comfort zone. I'm going to go ahead and grab the old clock tower. Now, it won't centralize exactly with the central tram road, which is fine. Don't worry about that too much. I'm going to place it slightly off to the right. If you are kind of that bothered about symmetry, then pick a different asset other than the clock tower here. But I'm going to run with the clock tower. Again, as this is kind of a town centre or interchange design, you know, I want lots of buildings here that are going to draw people to the area, give them an excuse to use the public transport. I'm going to grab myself a little plaza with trees. And again, I'm going to leave a one tile space between the clock tower and where these plazas are actually going to sit. Okay. And then again, with pathways, we can come through. Whichever pathways you want to use, zoo paths are always a good choice, of course. And we can get a nice little box in around the back of the clock tower. Yeah, it's very nice. If you want to go for the one with trees, of course you can. You know, just be wary of too much tree spice. You can see how they kind of clip into each other like this. So I usually find when the pathways are this close to each other next to other assets, it's usually the better option to stick to the version without decorations. Of course, however, that is everyone's own personal preference. Feel free to do whatever you like. Okay, fantastic. So we'll now come back to our roads and we'll draw this out just a little further so we can snap away from the tram depot. And then we're going to draw a road right up parallel alongside the bottom of the tram interchange right here. Okay. And then I'm going to use this as an excuse to introduce a secondary method of public transport, which is going to be my metro. And we'll just place this kind of anywhere along this road. It's really up to you as to where you place this. It doesn't have to be metro. You could use monorail here. You could use trains. Whatever you want. I just like the look of the overground metro station. It's a nice asset, isn't it? Actually works really nicely up against the water. Maybe we'll introduce this in Parliament somewhere, perhaps. But yeah. Little secondary public transport system. No, feel free to centralize it a little more with the entrance to the tram interchange, perhaps. You can get some nice vibes developing around here now. Okay, fantastic. And then really what you want to do now is flesh this out with kind of higher end commercial stuff. So let's come back to our main arterial, and where we placed in these smaller plazas right here, we're going to come out with a smaller road and then bring it behind. And then we can hook into these right here. So plaza with picnic tables, pathways, clock tower is a very nice kind of repeatable pattern here. And then I guess this road here is the end of the modular build. You can then expand into something else entirely. You can maybe bring in a nice heavy commercialized district here. Feed it into some kind of residential build. It really does kind of depend on everyone's city, everyone's preference, and what people prefer to build. I will just throw in some commercial assets behind here. Maybe throw in some nightlife as well. Just so you can kind of see the different aesthetic that this kind of build brings together. Large playground will also work here nicely. Feel free to just flesh it out, and of course, don't forget to keep drawing in those pathways. It's all about improving the walkability of the city, and it also gets rid of a little bit of that green space as well. So just have like a nice little, almost like park unique strip here, right? Don't forget to bring those pathways down. Yes, please. Okay, so it almost serves like a nice little central strip, okay? Fantastic. I would also recommend on this road that you do sweep through with your traffic routes and then go to junctions and then take away the traffic lights. It will just help improve the traffic flow a little bit. If you want to, you can add some stop signs onto these smaller roads and onto kind of these ones too. But kind of this many traffic lights on the main road, just be careful with it. Some final little tips, if we did want to come through and introduce a little bit of car park spice, of course, we can come through and grab ourselves a small district. Bring this over here, throw on a organic and local produce specialization, and then zone out with 4x2 commercial zonings. With the green city specialization, it will give us the chance to generate in a car park, which we will hopefully see spawn in here in a short little while. But we'll wait for these to come in. And there it is. It does take a while, but 2x4 commercial zonings with an organic and local produce specialization will have a chance to generate as the Edison hypercharger, which gives you this repeated car park pattern without having to use mods. It is not available via Plot the Growables, the 2x4 version, for some reason, unless anyone else has managed to find it. However, a little bit of car park design behind the theatre and just as a forefront to this interchange works really nicely, I think. So if you're bothered about waiting for them to come in, it's a nice little idea for this type of interchange. Likewise, again, if we wanted to kind of continue that Green Cities theme, continue to bring your zoning down here into these kind of smaller tiles that we've left free, and then drag in some commercial slots along these points right here. And you just kind of see that the 1x1 and 1x2 Green City stuff, they're almost like little cafes and smaller markets. They have a really nice vibe to them, and it's a great way of decorating out those smaller spaces. So give them a go, see what you think, and just come up with a couple of different designs. Okay, fantastic. In terms of actually detailing the interchange itself, of course, we are going to be using lots and lots of fence spice. Depending on kind of the theme of your city and your build, if you're running quite industrial, all fence works really nicely here. If you're going quite rural, nature reserve fence or farm fence is also a favourite shout. However, I'm just going to go with the old faithful park fence. And we're going to draw in some kind of smaller boxed in tree gardens to fill in these spaces here, okay? So I'm just going to bring them up and then just check where the edge of your path is. And you can get some nice little kind of L-shaped boxes in these spaces, right? Do the same thing here again. Bring it down. It's easier when you're kind of working with fences in this small of a space, just to have all your snapping off. They can get a little bit finicky if you don't otherwise. And then finally, just kind of a larger one within the kind of initial entrance here. Okay. Fantastic. So you may want to keep them fairly minimal. It's kind of up to you. You can go very over the top, very overgrown. Maybe throw in a couple of little rocks in mine. Maybe some overgrowth in here too. Nothing too crazy. And then I think I'll stick with some nice kind of greener beech trees. I think these are beeches, are they? Yeah, small beeches. Okay. I'll get something out like that. So you can just kind of get the idea, you know. Flesh it out and design it as you wish. We'll of course detail these all in our time lapse. Again, we'll introduce some new districts into this area so we can kind of get a general idea of how a couple of different themes work. Maybe bring in a different theme on this side as well. Okay. Let's throw in a little bit of tourism here. And then maybe on this one we can give it the modern city centre creator pack stuff. Again, you know, none of this is essential. If you have kind of a particular aesthetic or a vibe that you're a fan of, then by all means fill it out with that type of zoning. So let's get a big batch in here. Of course, tourism doesn't matter. So let's maybe bring it up to there. And then of course you don't want tourism too close to residential, remember, because it will cause noise pollution, so leave a little bit of a sound barrier. You can introduce maybe a couple of service buildings into here, perhaps a police station. Let's maybe go for something a little larger. And then a fire station in here as well. Go for the smaller one. And then you can throw in just a smaller park life asset. Just so that commercial is not right up against the residential. Okay, but you can kind of see the vibe, you know. We'll give it a nice kind of commercial backdrop to this area. There's a variety of things you can do with it. And just kind of experiment with different layouts, different designs. And see what it is exactly that you can come up with. Okay guys, well that feels like a good place to jump into the old detailed time lapse. I'm going to start fleshing out some tree gardens in around my tram interchanges, get the actual trams flowing so we can see them coming around. We can look, we have some modern art here. Without the lamppost coming through, but that's fine. Yeah. Lots of trees, lots of fences, get the trams flowing, get a metro line running through here as well. And then we'll just kind of see our little town centre here come to life a little bit more. I'll also spend some time kind of picking and choosing the assets that do come up against this main arterial. Just so it kind of looks a little more natural and consistent. But yeah, we'll be right back. Okay guys, that is going to do it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, a like below is always appreciated. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Really nice Tram Interchange, and again, shout out to Mod Rach for the inspiration behind this one. If you are not in our Discord, it is linked down below where you can find lots more inspiration like this. But cute little Tram Interchange, also combined with a metro line and the elevated pedestrian walkways, are getting an absolute ton of use, and you can switch out the unique buildings for whichever ones you do and don't like, or do and don't have. If you are missing some of the Cities Skylines DLCs, there is a link down below to Instant Gaming. It is my referral link. It does help support the channel, and the Cities DLCs are super cheap on there, so if you've been thinking of picking one up for a while, maybe go ahead and check out the link and you might be able to find the one that you are looking for. Unique buildings and lots of commercial zoning are key for making these kind of town centre interchanges really busy, and they draw a lot of sims, so factor that in when you are using this. If you have any requests for modular builds, there is a channel in the Discord for it, and likewise please feel free to drop them in the comments below of this video, and we'll look forward to getting back into some modular build stuff in the coming weeks. But otherwise I will shut up and I will leave it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.